Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews unboxing. Today we're looking at Kill Team Nightmare, the latest expansion for Kill Team. So first of all, I want to say a massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us an early review copy to have a look at on the site. In this video today we'll be having a look at the contents, seeing how the two new kits in here look, having a look through the book, seeing what they do in game, and having a look at the assembled models too. And hopefully I'll have a couple of these painted as well at the end of the video so we can see what they look like in the flesh. But yeah, this is a pretty exciting one. Kill Team this season is kind of set on a watery planet that's doomed, and we've seen, you know, a few different warbands in here so far. This is an interesting one because there arguably isn't a good guy in the box. We've got the Night Lords versus some Drakari Mandrakes. So yeah, really interesting set. Now the Night Lords look to be the standard Chaos Space Marine kit with an upgrade frame that has all the Night Lord parts on it, which is interesting. I do wonder if they'll do this in the future to add some more, you know, different factions of Chaos Space Marines. Give us kits to do upgrades for them, that'd be pretty cool. And then the Mandrakes, who are a brand new plastic kit as well, and you get 10 of these in the box. So again, really nice assortment of models. Now what's different about this box and some of the other ones that we've seen as well is that there's a big chunky terrain piece in there too. If you look at the, probably hard to tell in the video, but this is a big chunky box, and a lot of that is taken up by that Nightmare Genitorium hub, which is cool. And looking at the back of the box as well, we've also got cards for all the operatives, which I believe we had in the previous box. Really good to have as well. And looks like there's also bespoke tokens for each of the kill teams as well. So yeah, the fact that we've got the Tack Ops cards and the equipment, employees and stuff in there as well is really cool. So what we're going to do is have a look through the contents, have a look at how these go together, look at all the options, and then yeah, we'll dig into the supplement book and see how these guys play. I'm really excited to paint these guys up though because they look very cool. So without further ado, let's crack this open and have a look what is inside. Now, like I say, it is a big chunky box. If we slide this out, you can see it is a lot of it taken up by that big scenery piece. So if I slide this out the way, and that is across 2 frames, which is about half of the box. So you've got this big single moulded piece for the top of it, which has got some nice detail. It looks like there's, you know, the walkway is thin enough to position models through it, which is really cool. And then obviously if we raise this up, it's going to be a fair piece that should be able to block line of sight as well. So we've got the pipe kind of entry point as well, so that'll be compatible with all the pipe scenery in 40k. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to building this up. I think this will be a handy piece of scenery for games of 40k as well as Kill Team. So yeah, I'm a sucker for scenery kits, so really excited to see what this looks like because yeah, that looks fun. So obviously we get that, and what is good, that is included in the box. I know last time we had the Kill Zone was a separate box. This box is £85 off the top of my head, so 2 kill teams and the scenery piece and all the rules and stuff. I think it's a pretty good price. Next up we have got the Mandrakes, so we'll pull their frames out. This looks like it is a kind of standalone kit. Obviously sometimes we get kits that are designed predominantly for Kill Team, where you know, everything on the sprue is designed for it, and other ones like the Space Marines in here, it's just a Kill Team upgrade frame that gives you access to those additional operatives. This is a full kit, so I don't know if there's going to be any options on here that aren't on the standard Mandrakes, and if maybe we get an updated profile at some point in the future. That is something that sometimes happens with these. But yeah, they look really cool. Again, like I say, at the end of the video, we'll have these built up and hopefully some of these painted so you can see them in the flesh. But it looks like you get two frames of these. So I don't know if they're going to be boxed in 5s when they're released separately or boxed in 10s, I'm not sure. But yeah, they are very spooky and sinister looking. So they are very cool. Big fan of those. So that's the Mandrakes. And then in the kit we get big chunky Night Lords upgrade frame, we'll look at it in a minute. bases, and then a full Chaos Space Marine kit. So again, like with other ones we've seen in the past, the bulk of the kit is kind of built using the kind of existing parts, and then we've got this brand new Night Lord's frame that is then used to create the different operatives. And there's some really cool stuff on there. Some nice like glaives, and obviously we've got all those sculpted shoulder pads, and most importantly the amazing Night Lord helmets. I'm really hoping that this is available separately as like an upgrade kit with some transfers, because that would be very, very cool. Yeah, these are cool. I'd be quite tempted to do a little Night Lord's army. I've got a big Word Bearers army, Chaos Space Marines, but I've always liked these guys, and having this sprue with those helmets and the shoulder pads on is going to make this a lot easier. Again, it depends if this is available outside of this box, I'm not sure. I don't know how many heads are on here as well. There's probably just enough. Well, there might be more actually. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 or so, 12, 14. So, you know, if you get a few boxes, you can have some spare ones that you can use, but if you wanted to upgrade like a whole army's worth, you'd probably want a frame per unit. But yeah, so that's really cool. So that's all the plastic stuff in the box. Obviously we get a whole host of cardboard materials as well. And Games Workshop seems to have moved away from single-use plastic. We'll just give a quick shout out. It looks like we do get a transfer sheet in the box as well. That is the old one from 2018 though, so no new transfers there. It's a bit weird. I guess it has got the Night Lord's iconography on there, but I'd have liked to have seen a new one for those. But yeah, as we're saying, they seem to have moved away from single-use plastic for these inserts in the boxes, and they're pretty nicely displayed now. Folds up, and we've got a nice little kind of wallet here with all the goodies in. So we slide that out. For me, it's infinitely easier than having shrink-wrapped stuff. I've not taken anything off these. And you've got a nice little wallet you can keep all your bits in afterwards. So we'll look at these in a little bit later, but I really like that they've got these large format cards with all the operatives on as well. Again, we'll look through these in more detail when we go through the box itself, but they are really nice, chunky cards for these. I do approve. We also get all the strategic ploys and stuff as well. That's really cool. And a guide to the tokens. Yeah, this is really nicely done. I'm very impressed at this new kind of approach to the Kill Team boxes. And obviously we get one for the Mandrakes as well. So yeah, I really like that. Again, we'll look at all this in more detail when we get into the actual review of the book, but that is very, very cool. So we also have, like I said earlier, token sheets for each of the warbands too. So each warband has their own token sheet with their own iconography on. It's only a little touch, but I think that's really cool. I hope this is something that they're going to continue doing, because yeah, that's fun, isn't it, compared to the generic ones that you get. So again, we'll have a look at the book itself in a little bit in the second half of the video, but before we do so, we'll just have a quick look at the instructions and see how these kits go together. So like I often say with Kill Team, it's probably having a good read of the rules first to decide what loadouts that you want to build. You've got lots of options, and you're not necessarily always going to be able to build every option out of the box without having multiple kits. Now I believe these are smaller kill teams. I think the Chaos Space Marines have got just 6 members, so you are going to want to decide which bits to use, because there's quite a lot of upgrade parts, and a lot of the bodies share different builds as well. I mean, that guy, that Night Lord Looks so cool, doesn't he? Yeah, I'm very, very excited for building these guys up because I think they're going to be great fun. Like I say, if you built some Chaos Space Marines before, you'll know the drill, but there's some really, really nice parts on these. I've still got some of those custom kill team bits on there as well. I'm probably going to build this so I've got one of each kind of like bespoke option for the Night Lords, and then if there's other kind of kill team members that I want to add later, I've got some spare Chaos Space Marine sprues that I can maybe use, and use some of the spare heads just so I've got all the different options. But yeah, these are very, very nice. I do like the look of these. Looking forward to painting them up as well in the dark blue with the lightning bolts. Yeah, I think these might be quite fun to use. And obviously we've got the Mandrakes as well. So while, you know, at first glance they haven't necessarily got that many different kind of bits to them, obviously this is kill team and we have got quite a few different operative options on here as well. So again, you get 10 bodies, so you're probably going to have, you know, a lot to be able to build your kill team from. But again, you probably just want to check out what bits you want to use and kind of maximise your options from the sprue there. And then the scenery piece looks like it's dead easy to go together, just a few parts. I don't think that's going to cause any issues at all. So yeah, let's jump to the future and have a look at the Kill Team Nightmare book. So let's take a look at the Kill Team Nightmare supplement itself. So again, if you played any other Kill Team, you know, editions, this is very much what you'd expect in the same kind of format. We get a lot of information in the first half of the book, with the lore expanding on the location of the watery planet that we're on now. And obviously the Gallo Dark has fallen into this planet, caused mass destruction, there's floods and chaos and all sorts going on here. And in that chaos, various warbands are taking advantage of that. In this expansion we see the Night Lords and the Mandrakes, which again is a great excuse for some new models and upgrade kits for them. So we learn all about them here and kind of their different ways of fighting and some background about them. Again, for a lot of people, this will be, you know, stuff that they already know. For the Mandrakes in particular though, they do kind of expand on, you know, the different weapons and the effects and stuff. They've got quite a lot in this book, which is cool. Like with previous books as well, there's quite a lot of narrative information in here for naming your operatives and your kill team and giving them quirks and backgrounds and bases of operations. This is one of the fun things with kill team, because obviously as you can play it as a, you know, competitive game, you can go to town kind of naming all your operatives and kind of customizing all that side of things. So I'm glad that this is kind of stuck around, especially as it really kind of drives the narrative and the background of kind of what they're trying to do with these kill teams. And again, we get the same for the Mandrakes too, so quite a lot of background information about them and stories, as well as nice kind of showpiece of art and your kind of names and demeanours and all that stuff. I have painted up a Night Lord and a Mandrake that I'll show you at the end of the video as well. They are absolutely gorgeous kits, and yeah, I'm very tempted to do a full Night Lord's force for 40k, along with some Drakari. Some Mandrake heavy Drakari would be really cool too. So obviously the main thing most people will be interested in this book though are the rules themselves, and obviously we get the army list for both the Nemesis Claw kill team and the Mandrakes as well. So the Nemesis Claw are, you know, essentially they're a Chaos Space Marine kill team. A lot of the things that we see in other Chaos Space Marine kill teams they've got access to, like gunners, heavy gunners, and just normal warriors. But obviously they have quite a few new abilities that play into their more sinister, sneaky playstyle they've got. So they have 6 operatives, which I think is the same as the normal Chaos Space Marine force. They get a new ability in Midnight Clad. So because they're so sneaky and shady and stick to the shadows, friendly operatives are obscured if they've got a conceal order, they're within triangle of a heavy or light terrain and or any part of its base is underneath a vantage point, and it's more than pentagon from enemy operatives it's visible to. So basically it's easier for them to become obscured, which is cool, and again, that represents the fluff and, you know, how they operate. They're Tack Ops, and again, it's worth mentioning that all the Tack Op cards, strategic ploys, tactical ploys, they're all included in card form in this box as well, which is really nice. You know, it's a lot easier to use them than just the book. Some of the earlier kill teams, you had to refer to the books for that information, but you get all this in card form in the box as well, which is really, really nice in that core kind of cardboard kind of wallet that you get in there. So Tack Ops, so Terror. If a friendly Nemesis Claw operative incapacitates an enemy operative within its engagement range, and that enemy operative is within circle of an objective marker that is both in your opponent's territory and not on the centre line, you score 1 VP. And if you achieve the first condition or any subsequent turning point, you also score 1 VP. Dread Tail Dark Rumour. You reveal it at the end. If a friendly Nemesis Claw operative is within pentagon of your opponent's kill zone edge, you score a victory point. And if a friendly Nemesis Claw operative is within pentagon of an enemy operative, you score 1 victory point. And then finally, Hunt the Weak. If a friendly Nemesis Claw operative incapacitates an enemy operative within its engagement range that has an unmodified wounds characteristic of 7, and that enemy operative is more than pentagon from all enemy operatives, you score 1 VP. And again, if you do that condition in any subsequent turning point, you also score 1 VP. So they seem pretty achievable, and again, are based around how the kill team operates. You also get some strategic ploys, Nightmare Manifest. Until the end of the turning point, friendly Nemesis Claw operatives can perform 2 fight actions during their activation, or 2 shoot actions. If a bolt weapon is selected for at least one of the shooting attacks, a bolt weapon is a ranged weapon that includes the word bolt in its name. Bolt, gun, heavy bolter, straightforward enough. We've come for you until the end of the turning point. Each time a friendly Nemesis Claw operative is activated, if the first action it performs is a charge, after it finishes it, you can select one enemy operative within its engagement range to suffer D3 mortal wounds, so that's pretty cool. Prey Sight. Until the end of the turning point, when determining line of sight for each friendly Nemesis Claw, enemy operatives within pentagon of it are treated as being in engage order unless they're in cover from heavy terrain. So yeah, even if people are concealed, that makes them a bit of a target. And the Black Hunt. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Nemesis Claw operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack against enemy operative that has less than its starting number of wounds, in the roll attack dice step, you can re-roll one of your attack dice. That's pretty cool. We've also got 3 tactical ploys as well. Out of the Darkness, use it at the end of the scouting step. One friendly Nemesis Claw operative wholly within your drop zone can do a normal move. It can fly. Vox Scream, use the tactical ploy when your opponent would activate an enemy operative. Your opponent cannot activate the operative in the activation. If there's no other enemy operatives eligible, the tactical ploy has no effect. Death to the False Emperor, use a tactical ploy after rolling attack dice for a combat. If the enemy operative in that combat or shooting attack has the Imperium keyword, if it's Imperium, you can re-roll results for a single dice roll, so for example all the 2s, or if it's Astartes, you can re-roll all your dice. And Proclivity for Murder, use it after a friendly Nemesis Claw operative incapacitates an enemy operative within its engagement range. That friendly operative can immediately perform a free charge action or a free dash action, even if it's performed an action during activation that prevents it from doing so. So we get some cool stuff there. On to the operatives themselves. The Night Lord Visionary is quite cool. Basically in the strategy phase you can generate D3 prescience tokens, and you can spend them to do a number of different abilities on his card. So for Boding, you can discard a prescience token to skip your activation, which is interesting. Essentially it means that you don't have to do anything in your activation and force the opponent to do something else, allowing you to react to what they do. So that's quite an interesting one. Portent, once per turning point when the operative fights in combat or a shooting attack is made against it, at the start of the resolve successful hits, you can discard a prescience token to discard one of your opponent's successful hits, and that's pretty good. And then he's got a unique action, Premonition, discard one of your prescience tokens to gain 1 CP. So yeah, he's pretty cool. We've got the Fearmonger, and this guy's quite interesting. He essentially poisons enemy targets. You see his weapons have got the Terror Chem ability, and basically if they kind of wound a target, it gives them a Terror Chem token, and in the ready operative step, everyone with a Terrachem token takes D3 mortal wounds. So he can put this kind of poison on targets, and that will tick down over the game. Making that easier as well, he can also poison an objective as well, which essentially means that when somebody gets close to that objective, they get poisoned and they've got that damage ticking down on them. So he's quite a cool operative for the Night Lords. Gunners and heavy gunners, not going to go into, they're very similar to what we've got for the Chaos Space Marines. We've got the Screecher, who's cool. So while the operative is within square of an enemy, worsen the ballistic skill and weapon skill of that operative by 1. So that's pretty cool. And then Appetite for Cruelty, each time he fights, if the target has less than his starting number of wounds, the lightning claws get lethal 4+ instead of lethal 5+, so he goes and bullies wounded targets. We've got a Skin Thief. Obviously this guy goes around flaying people, has some psychological effects on the enemy. If he incapacitates an operative, you pick another enemy operative within Pentagon, and they cannot perform mission actions or pick up or control objective markers because they're so freaked out at you flaying this poor person. And then Tyrant of the Skinning Pits, each time he fights in combat, subtract 1 from both damage characteristic of the enemy's weapons for that combat to a minimum of 2. So again, he's quite resilient as well. Warriors, again, very vanilla, but then we've got the Ventrilo Car. When determining control of an objective marker, treat the operative's APL as being 1 higher. And then he's got some unique actions. So select one enemy operative within Pentagon of the operative, then select one of the following abilities. Subtract 1 from its APL, change its order, or perform a free dash action with it. So that's quite cool. Again, you can draw people nearer to you. You can change their orders to disrupt plans. Again, really fun. So I think you're really going to be taking all of the unique operatives in your kill team because they're fun. So we've got, what, 3 there, 4, 5, and then you'd probably take a gunner or a heavy gunner to fill out your kill team. Yeah, they look pretty fun to play. We also get the usual kind of Nemesis Claw spec op rules, rare equipment, all the requisition strategic assets, all the normal bits and bobs that you get within the kill team books. And then the second kill team in here are the Mandrakes. These are cool as well. Obviously, it's the Mandrake kit's quite old now, so the new plastic one has got quite a few different looking weapons on there, which then reflect the different types of operative they've got here. I don't know if they're going to do anything different in 40k, maybe to represent those other bits in there. But yeah, they certainly seem pretty cool. So they're Tack Ops, Death from Darkness. If a friendly Mandrake operative is activated in Shadow, and they've got a bit of a Shadow mechanic which we'll look at in a little bit, perform the charge action, incapacitates an enemy operative, and ends activation within Shadow, you score 1 VP, and if you achieve that in any subsequent turning point, you achieve 1 VP. Shadow's Reach, at the end of the turning point, if a friendly Mandrake control the terrain feature wholly within your opponent's territory that has any parts for the heavy trait, you score 1 VP, and again, if it's done in the following one. And then Haunting Manifestation, at the end of any turning point, including the 4th, if a friendly Mandrake is visible and within square of the enemy, you get 1 VP, and if you do the first condition at the end of the battle, you also get that too. And the operative can't be incapacitated to do that. So we mentioned that they've got a shadow mechanic, and basically it represents the Mandrakes being able to slip between shadows and do all their spooky supernatural abilities. So an operative is within shadow if it's within triangle of a heavy part of a terrain feature, and that part is not lower than it. Any part of its base is underneath a vantage point, or it's within triangle of a shadow portal token, and they're generated by the Shade Weaver operative. During each turning point, one friendly Mandrake operative can do Shadow Passage, and you remove it from the board and you put it back in another area of shadow. Can't make shooting attacks until the next turning point. That is pretty cool and lets your guys kind of teleport around. Now, because you're a weird supernatural entity, you've got a 5+ invulnerable save, but if you're within shadow, you've got a 4+ invulnerable save. Finally, all their ranged weapons have the Soul Strike rule. which kind of changes with how the kind of shooting rules work. So invulnerable saves can't be used. And then when you do your attack, each result that is equal or less than the target's AP is a successful save and is retained, you know, for the opponent's save rolls. And each result that is higher than the target's APL is discarded. Each retained result of 1 is a critical save. So yeah, that kind of interacts differently with how the normal roll defense dice step works in the game, just to represent these weird supernatural weapons that are coming at them. So yeah, that'll probably take a couple of players to get your head around, but it looks pretty cool. So then their strategic deploys, we've got Creeping Horror until the end of the turning point after each enemy operative's activation. Before the next operative is activated, you can perform a free dash with 1 friendly Mandrake operative that has a conceal order. If it starts into action within shadow, each friendly operative can be only selected for this ploy once per turning point. Gloaming Shroud until the end of the turning point. Each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Mandrake operative in shadow, in the roll defense dice step of that shooting attack, before rolling your defense dice, you can retain 1 successful normal save without rolling it, in addition to cover. Blade in the Dark until the next turning point. Friendly Mandrake operatives that have a conceal order can perform a charge action if they start or end in shadow. And Inescapable Nightmare until the end of the turning point. Each time a friendly Mandrake operative within shadow fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, in the roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, you can re-roll 1 of your attack dice. So you can see a lot of these kind of revolve around getting into or out of shadow, which makes, again, for quite an interesting play style. I think these guys are going to be fun. So if you look at the operatives themselves, with the Night Fiend, obviously we've got the Soul Strike ability and all their ranged weapons. That's across the entire force. We've also got Lethal on his blade. Harrowing Whispers. Each time your opponent would activate an enemy operative within Pentagon of the operative, you can roll 1d6. If the result is greater than the APL, they cannot activate it in this activation. So that's pretty cool. You can kind of force the order that your opponent kind of activates in. And then at the start of each turning point, or if this operative incapacitates an enemy operative with its Husk Blade, its Ublex becomes active. While it's active, each time an attack dice would inflict damage on this operative, you can roll 1d6 on a 5 plus ignore the damage inflicted from that attack dice, and the Ublex is no longer active. So basically gives you a little kind of like one-time save. The Mandrake Abyssal. So Balefire. Each time a friendly Mandrake operative makes a shooting attack against an enemy operative that has 1 of your Balefire tokens, for that shooting attack, add 1 to both the damage characteristic of that friendly operative's ranged weapons, and they have the no cover special rule. Each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Mandrake operative that has 1 of your Balefire tokens, subtract 1 from the damage characteristics. So for 1 AP, you can select an operative visible to the operative that doesn't have a Balefire token until the start of the operative's next activation. That selected operative gains 1 of your Balefire tokens, so he can load them up and then use his abilities there. We've got the Chooser of the Flesh. So this guy's got Soul Harvest. Each time an enemy operative is incapacitated as a result of this operative's Part Collector ability, or Bale Blade, including attacks as a result of its Reap critical hit rule, add 1 of your Soul Harvest tokens to your pool, or 2 if that enemy operative has an APL characteristic of 3 or more. Each time a friendly Mandrake operative is activated, you can spend 1 of your Soul Harvest tokens to either add 1 to the APL or have it regain D6 lost wounds. You can spend this Soul Harvest token even if it's been incapacitated, so that's quite cool. You can generate up those Soul Harvest tokens and use them for the rest of the battle. With this Part Collector rule, each time an enemy operative performs the fallback action within engagement range, you can use this ability. If you do, that enemy operative suffers D6 mortal wounds before it moves. We then get the Dirge Maw. So Haunting Focus. Once in each strategy phase, when it's your turn to use a strategic When it's your turn to use a strategic ploy or pass, you can use this ability instead. If you do so, select one enemy operative for this operative to focus on until the end of the turning point, when your opponent would activate that enemy operative. If this operative is ready, you can activate this operative first. If you do so during that activation, you cannot select any other enemy operatives as targets for combats or shooting attacks made by this operative while the enemy operative is still in the kill zone. That's a very wordy one. And we've got a unique action. Select one enemy operative within shadow or in the operative's line of sight until the start of this operative's next activation, or until the operative is incapacitated. The enemy operative is treated as being injured regardless of any rules that say it cannot be injured, and its APL cannot be positively modified. So that's pretty cool too. We then have the Shadow Weaver, and this is the guy who creates portals for you to move around. So any number of friendly Mandrake operatives can perform the Shadow Passage action. Each turning point, if they start within circle of one of your Shadow Portal tokens and finish within circle of the other open Shadow Portal. So that, for 2 APL, remove your Shadow Portal tokens, if any, perform a free Shadow Passage action, and then if you do, before and after it, you place your Shadow Portal tokens. So basically, he gets a free move and gets to position those portals so the rest of your operatives can move through it as well. And then Weave Darkness, remove your Weave Darkness token, if any, then place your Weave Darkness token in a location that is visible to this operative, or on a vantage point of a terrain feature that is visible. The token creates an area of smoke with a circle radius and unlimited upward height. An operative is obscured if every cover line drawn to it crosses the smoke. So again, he's quite cool and can put smoke down to block line of sight. And then we've got a normal Mandrake Warrior, Shadow Warrior. While the operatives are within shadow, add 1 to its critical damage. So yeah, they're a pretty fun warband as well. Again, quite different playstyle to the Night Lords too, even though they're both kind of sneaky. I think this is going to be quite a fun battle to be had between these two forces. It's interesting to see kind of how they pick the pair-ups for the game, because yeah, it's quite fun, isn't it? Now we do get the Killzone Beta Decima rules here too. Now again, all of the missions in here need this Killzone box really to be able to use it. At the time of filming this, it's out of stock. I hope it comes back in stock for this to be released, because really you are kind of knackered if you don't have this. You do get the new generation hub in the box, and you get all the rules for that too. It's quite a big piece, as we'll see in a little bit. But yeah, without the other, without the big box, a lot of this content here is really not going to be any use to you, because unless you've already got the pieces. But like you see, a lot of the setups are very reliant on those kind of the fixed sizes of those platforms and stuff, and the easiest way to get hold of that is with that that Killzone box. So very much hope that that comes back in stock, because I'd like to play through these, and I haven't actually got that box myself. So yeah, really cool set though, and the models are amazing. So on that note, let's have a quick look at the models before we close out the video. So the Night Lord, I've built up the squad leader, and it is a really cool upgrade set. I hope they sell this separately, because I'd like to do a full Night Lord's army, and obviously if you had to build it around the kill teams, that could get quite expensive quickly. I'd also like to use the heads for you know, my jump troops and stuff. But yeah, he had a really nice kit, and he was fun to paint. For this guy, I left the backpack and the cape separate, just to make it a little bit easier to get to that detail, because I think it's going to be a little bit fiddly if you don't do that. So that's one thing to watch out for. We've also painted up the Mandrake as well. Again, he was a really fun model to work on. Again, gone for quite a dark scheme, similar to the original one, but you've got those kind of like balefire green bits to stand out, to add some detail. I'd like to see some unusual schemes that other people put together on these too. I've also been working on the scenery piece too, so kind of size comparison. There's the Mandrake, there's the scenery piece, so big old thing. And like, you know, if you get the Night Lord, which is a bigger model, it will block line of sight across there. Obviously it has got stairs so you can get up to it, and there's some like natural choke points within the platforms in it too. So yeah, I'm really quite impressed with this scenery piece. It's nice to see some kind of different scenery pieces for Kill Team. And again, it wasn't too difficult to paint, to build up. Currently painting it, there's a few fiddly little details, so you know, give yourself enough time to work on this one, because lots of wires and stuff to paint. But yeah, it's definitely a fun one to work on. So yes, that was a quick look at Kill Team Nightmare, the latest Kill Team box. Again, a massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us one over to review. I have got a full written review over on spruesandbrews.com, so if you'd rather kind of read this review, you can check it out there. Also, if you like this video, why not give us a follow? It's massively appreciated. Liking the video, comment kind of, you know, what Kill Team you want to see. Also, if you'd like to support the site, we have an affiliate link to Element Games. If you use that, we get a little bit of a kickback, which helps go towards running the site and everything. But yeah, until next time, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.